Good evening, everyone. This is our live stream straight from Startup Weekend Ireland COVID-19 edition. So right now, we are into our evening session. So what we have coming up for you, I'm going to pop up our slides here, and you're going to see a little bit about what's happening this evening. First up, we've got Aisling O'Neill, one of our organizers. She's going to take us through a little mindfulness workshop for about 10 minutes. We've got some guests joining us for about 4 or 5 minutes to chat about their experience in Startup Weekend so far from our organizing team. So some really interesting little nuggets of information there. And then we have got Mr. Preso, the Chief Presentation Officer from Clear Preso Industries, GmbH Inc. LOL, is going to be coming in to give us a really great insight into what happens with how to get ready for your pitch for Startup Weekend for tomorrow. So in respect to that, I'm going to ask Aisling to join us here. So she's going to join us in the live stream. I'm going to say,
hi team.
How are you doing?
Hi everybody. Yeah, I'm really good. I can't believe we're on Saturday evening already. Day two is halfway there. I'm having the best time, really. I suppose, obviously, it's our first experience doing it online. I'm wearing my Startup Weekend Dublin t-shirt from the last one that I attended in January. And yeah, it's just great to be here.
Aisling, did you know there's 23 hours and 44 minutes until our final pitches begin tomorrow?
I did not know that. Thank you for sharing that.
Aisling, I am going to creep off stage in a ginger fashion because I'm a ginger man. Over to you for your mindfulness session. Best of luck.
Thank you. So guys, I'm actually going to do a little bit of movement and breath with you all. So at this point of the day, we've probably all been quite hunched over our computers. So it's really important that we get up and we move a little bit. So I'm going to ask you all to stand up. So I have a mat here. You don't need a mat for what we're going to do. But really, it's just to kind of have a little shake out, literally just move your body, just to get up off the chair, to have a little bit of movement through your body. And then it'll feel much more natural to come to stillness. And what we're going to look at is our kind of most basic pose within yoga. So within our yoga, we have what we call Tadasana, or mountain pose. And this is our standing position from which all of our other movements originate. But like that, we can even track this into how we walk, how we do absolutely everything. So I'm going to ask you to look at your own body. So that the head of the femur is the perfect lines for your legs. So it's really interesting. So we often find men kind of hold their legs out a lot wider than they actually need to, and women hold their legs really tight together. But actually, it's that head of the femur is the perfect point for your body. So you're going to look at tracking your legs in parallel lines down those lines and really plugging the feet in parallel to one another in those lines. So like that, when you're going for a walk, just take a few moments to notice whether you have, like, sometimes people walk with their feet pointing outward or inward. And actually, when we track these movements into our body, it's really, really beneficial. So we're going to step into that foundation. And we're looking now for that same lovely neutrality through our pelvis. So you don't want the hips to be cocking any way, front or back. You literally just want that lovely neutrality through the pelvis. And you want to feel your spine nice and long. And again, sense into your shoulders and make sure that you're not hunching forward or sticking your chest out. So you're really looking for that beautiful neutrality through your body. Imagine that you've got a string holding your skull to the ceiling. So we're like puppets, and we're just allowing that beautiful tracking to sit through our bodies. So it's really good for our posture. And again, we'll be able to bring this when we sit back at our desks. So just becoming aware of the breath as it enters and leaves your body, in through the nose and out through the nose. And what we're going to do is just a nice neck stretch for ourselves. So what you're going to do is inhale fully with your gaze forward. And as you exhale, gently bring your gaze over your left shoulder. So you'll feel that lovely stretch in the right side of your neck. Inhale fully here. And as you exhale, gently release that gaze back to center again. Inhale fully. And as you exhale, gently bringing that gaze over your right shoulder. Inhale fully. And as you exhale, gently bringing that gaze back to center. Going to just bring a little bit of movement into your shoulders. So we're just going to start by rolling the shoulders forward. And like that, I can already feel all the little cracks and pops in my shoulders. And like that, it's just really good to just get a little bit of movement in after so long over the computer and moving back in the opposite direction. And then we're going to gently come back to stillness. So again, from your Tadasana, we're going to just do a little bit of movement just to get the body going, just to kind of get, again, a little bit of movement in. But we're always using the breath as we work through our movement. So you're going to inhale those hands up, and as you exhale, bring them down. Inhale up, exhale down. And we're going to do this for about a minute. And again, it's just bringing a little bit of movement into our bodies. So remember, exhale on the way down, inhale on the way up. Exhale down, inhale up. So again, just moving at your own pace here, working with your breath. And you're just going to be really awakening the body. And because we've done our tracking first, and we've got our posture nicely aligned, we're really bringing huge benefits to our body. Do one more. And we'll end with the hands up and bring the hands down through center. So we're going to take those legs super wide. We're going to tap into our inner warriors. So you want those feet to be parallel with the edges of the mat. You're taking that right foot 2 half turns. What I mean by this is that your heel is going to dissect the instep of your left foot, and you're going to bend into that right knee. So you want that knee stacking over the ankle. You're going to scooch that left foot back if you need a bit more space. So you've got that plugging from the pelvis right through to the feet. And then we're going to float the arms above shoulder height and return them to shoulder height as we bring that gaze over the right middle finger. We don't have much time here, guys, so we're really going to tap into the strength of our bodies to engage this warrior. So the strength from the pelvis all the way down to the feet, the rising through the upper body and across the arms. And gently return those hands to center. Square those feet. We're going to take a nice wide-legged forward fold. So from here, so again, those parallel lines with the feet, we'll inhale those hands up and we're going to exhale and fold forward. So again, wherever your hands meet is perfect. If you need an extra little bit of height, a little cushion or something, and just allowing your body to soften. Enjoying the breath in through the nose and out through the nose. Plugging those feet and zipping up those legs as we inhale and root to rise. Bringing those hands through center, and we'll heel toe those feet back in and get ready to do the other side. So taking those feet super wide, plugging in those feet as we take that left foot 2 half turns. So we want that heel to dissect that right instep as we bend into that left knee. So again, you want that knee over the ankle to give you that perfect foundation. Float those arms and then return to shoulder height as we bring the gaze over the left middle finger. And again, like on our other side, we're really tapping into the strength of our warrior here, engaging the core, stretching across those arms and feeling the rise from the ribs, and then sensing into the foundations from the pelvis to the feet. Breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. And gently releasing those hands, squaring the feet, and we'll heel toe our way back in. So we're going to come to lying on the ground. If you've got a towel down or something like that, that would be perfect. And we're just going to do a nice little twist. So taking your feet about, if you don't have a mat, imagining what the width of a mat would be. And you're bringing both knees to the right as you bring your gaze over your left shoulder for a lovely twist. Again, this can be really, really lovely to release your lower back after you've been sitting at the computer. And just always sensing into your breath. Gently easing the knees back to center, the gaze back to center, before allowing both knees come out to the left as you bring your gaze over your right shoulder. Simply returning nice and gently to center and lengthening the body. So hands down either side of your body, so your palms can be facing up toward the ceiling or in toward your body. Your feet about 8 to 10 inches apart, and gently closing down the eyes. Simply noticing the breath as it enters and leaves your body, in through the nose and out through the nose. And for the next few rounds of breath, you're going to seek to deepen your exhale. So if you're inhaling to the count of 4, you'll then exhale to the count of 6. This act of extending the exhale is deeply soothing for the body and perfect for a weekend like this where you might have 7 million things going through your head. If you take just 5 minutes out every few hours to do this conscious breath practice, in through the nose, and slow that exhale right down through the nose, allowing your body to soften, inviting that softening through your legs, your pelvis, your torso, down your arms, backs of your shoulders, the back of your head, and simply enjoying the breath in through the nose and deeply extended out through the nose, slowing that exhale right down. And enjoying that calming sense through the body. That sense of focus that this is going to create to prepare you perfectly for our pitch workshop with Ed Fidgeon Kavanagh. Bring a little bit of movement to your fingers and your toes as you gently roll over to the right and assist yourself back to a seated position. And bring our hands together and bowing our heads. Namaste. Thank you all, and I hope you all really enjoy our pitch workshop. And like that, just take a few moments out at any point throughout the weekend. If you need to just have a little stretch out, just introduce a little bit of movement. It's really, really good for your body and mind to stay focused.
A big round of applause there. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's a big round of applause from all of us here, and especially this YouTube sound effect that I have in the background. So, Aisling, a major thank you for your time today to go through all that, which is absolutely super. I'm going to invite up on stage Callum McDonald and Alan Weldon. And again, just a tip, chatting with them, just up on mute to stop any kind of feedback. So I think we have everyone. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the stage. Obviously, this is our hashtag. Please use it on all your different social channels. It helps gain attention for all the different participants and get their message out to everyone. But I think we can see lots and lots of great comments from everyone that's watching on the live stream. So welcome to everyone on that. And Aisling, thank you very much again. So we just want to chat with Callum and Alan and Aisling about how everything is going. So I'm going to start with you, Callum. How is Startup Week going? As one of the organizers, we're doing a little Vox Pop in to meet everyone. How is it going today? You've been working with Alan on the mentors, and what kind of feedback have we got from them?
It's been amazing. I think one thing to really note is the fact that even though we're all online and we're not physically in the same space, it still feels like that you're part of a big event, which I think is amazing to see. There's been some great feedback from the mentors. They all said that they were very impressed with how far along the teams were. They enjoyed reading about all the ideas beforehand and before meeting the teams. They felt that was very helpful. So that's probably something we could look at for future startup weekends, would be to have more of a brief on the teams beforehand for the mentors.
Excellent. And I think that's a good point. So Alan, I'll just bring in here that's a new thing for this year for our online edition is mentors. I got to shortlist from 47 to 18 ideas. How have you found that process has gone so far, and what have you enjoyed most about Startup Weekend so far in an online environment?
So it's been really interesting. I just think it's great having such again, being across all of Ireland, having participants. Everybody's bringing a little bit of their own sort of locale, their community in, and it's great to see that people co-working together and making new connections, new networks, and building out their networks. That's really cool. And it's been great from a mentor side of things to see people again from all over the country just coming in, sharing their expertise. They were saying that they felt like a great energy and a great positivity in the chats they were having with people out there. One top tip they did have was they said that they really liked when or they felt that it was really cool if people were jumping on video for even a few minutes here and there. So they were having their chats like all the rest, but maybe the beginning of the conversation at the end they might just take 2 minutes or 3 minutes on a video. It just kind of changes up the experience.
I love in the background you've got our special edition 1970s retro multi-blend color one, the short name for that particular design. So good to see it. And Alan, Callum, just give us a little background to yourselves.
So background. So I did my first Startup Weekend in 2016. And outside of here, I'm also involved in Hack Access. We run hackathons and we run community events in Dublin and across Ireland. And then outside of that, myself and Callum both work in Tangent in Trinity, which is an entrepreneurial-based unit in Trinity. So that's a very quick intro to me.
Excellent. And Callum, you've got some big news lately outside of all the working at Tangent and working there. What was that by any chance?
It was just some small news, I guess. So like Alan was saying, I'm working here in Tangent. I am a third-year business student, actually starting my exams, final exams on Tuesday. So they're coming up soon. And I was recently elected as the president of Trinity Entrepreneurial Society. I got the branded T-shirt. You didn't point that one out yet, Gene. And for my Startup Weekend background, I guess my first one was last November. I was a participant at that, and myself and a few of the other organizers on this weekend, Sam and Ulton, organized a student Startup Weekend in January.
I actually didn't realize that about your exam, so I feel terrible. But it's thanks for putting all this time in advance of that. And I have a surprise for you in relation to your big news. It's a big round of applause. It's a YouTube round of applause here. I know we're staying apart to come together this weekend, but that's especially for you. So well done on that. Aisling, you've had a good bit of time with Startup Weekend this year, but we all met in Dublin, I think, at the one Callum was mentioning there. So tell us a little bit about your work with Startup Weekend so far.
Yeah, so as you said, I was at the Startup Weekend in Dublin in preparation for Startup Weekend Waterford, which was supposed to take place the first weekend of April, but naturally with the lockdown, we were forced to postpone it. So when Techstars came out that they were doing this global remote online edition, I was like, sign me up. I was so excited to get involved. And it has been amazing to see the way, like Callum said, like it still feels like you're part of this weekend, like I am just buzzing here in my dining room on my own, like, do you know, but I do really feel like I'm part of the team, and I do feel so inspired by all of the ideas that we're seeing here. So I manage a business incubator, ARC Labs, in Waterford Institute of Technology in Waterford. So I love working with entrepreneurs. I love seeing new ideas coming to life, and certainly that's what we do in ARC Labs. We look at how we can take ideas into real viable businesses, and that's what we're about. So it's been really wonderful to be part of this weekend, and yeah, long.
It's been super to have you here. So, and again, starting with Aisling, and then Callum, and then Alan, just before you head off stage and watch that first step, it's a real doozy. But what is your 5 second, no more than that, that's all I'm going to give you. I don't have a timer, but I've got this thing. What's your 5 second top tip for getting ready for pitches tomorrow? Aisling, go.
Stay online and watch Ed Fidgeon Kavanagh's presentation workshop.
Genius. Callum.
So I'm mute there. Go ahead and validate your idea. Put all your validation and show it on your pitch.
So the warts and all approach, what worked, what didn't work, show the critical thinking. Great idea. Alan, it's over to you to play us out for this section.
Don't stress. Let it flow. It'll come together.
Let it flow. Let it flow. It's like Frozen the musical meets Startup Weekend. That is the song you and I might pen this evening to sing tomorrow. It's going to be great. Listen, Aisling, Callum, Alan. Well, Callum gets me back to studying. But Alan, Aisling, Callum, thank you so much for your time. I think you're going to leave stage now, so we're going to remove you from the stream, and we're going to have a little chat with Ed Fidgeon Kavanagh. So before we tee that up, we just have one or two little slides to play here. So this is your 5:30 pitch workshop. Ed Fidgeon Kavanagh very kindly has put an awful lot of effort and time into this. I think Sam has that all ready to go. I'm going to be back after this to go through judging, what's going to happen for the rest of today, and how to prepare for tomorrow. So I'm going to pop off this stream, stay here, and it's over to Sam.
Hi there, everybody. It's Ed from Preso here, and I'm here to give you my presentation on how to pitch at a startup weekend, coronavirus edition. First of all, I'm probably definitely going to have to take this mask off because it's about 1,000 degrees under there, which is far too long for the video. I was going to give it a try, but on mature reflection, it's not going to work. So the organizers of this great event wanted me to pitch in on kind of what my tips and tricks are for pitching your idea at the end of all this, because I've helped out at about 10 to 15 startup weekends around the world. So I've seen what works, I've seen what doesn't work, and hopefully these 4 tips will set you on the right track to really doing justice to explaining what your great idea is. So let's go for it. The alternative title to this presentation is that nobody cares about your idea until you make them. This is very true. You care about your idea greatly, but to a first-time viewer of the video you put together, there's a high chance that they won't care. And your job in that 4 minutes is to put forward a compelling case as to why they should. So there's a quote from a guy called Tom Peters that I like, which is that packaging counts a lot in a crowded world. And truth be told, you're going to be operating in a crowded world where lots of different people have ideas for different projects, different businesses, different startups. And the way that you package what you are is as important as, what it is that you actually do. So the first tip is to lead with the problem and not the technology. Now, I know that's hard for some to take, but in my opinion, until people care about what you do, they're not going to care about how you do it. So a good example of a problem statement is put forward by this guy. So Jake Mendel currently works for Silicon Valley Bank, but he used to have a medical technology startup himself. And what he did right up front in the pitch is have a very specific and powerful problem statement to get people hooked. So he's pitching the problem, not necessarily exactly how it's done. So here's how he does it. He says that 75% of the 1 million plus annual biopsies for prostate cancer produce inconclusive results. So that's a problem. Why is it a problem? This results in a $4 billion loss for the healthcare system and 8% of patients being hospitalized for complications. So very good problem statement, and a lot of heavy lifting being done in what takes about 10 to 20 seconds to say. So what we can see here are different things. So first of all, we can see the scale of the problem. It's a big problem. We can see what the problem area is. So it's cancer, which is very important. We can tell what the specific problem is, and that's around the validity and conclusivity of results. And then we can tell things like, how much money is the industry losing and what's the human cost of this problem. So there's a lot of heavy lifting being done in this problem statement, and it's something to aspire to fit in that level of detail. And time is short, so that's the sort of thing you're going to have to do. I like this quote from Dave McClure on the matter, and he says that, when you're pitching your problem, you want it to be pitched as a painkiller, because vitamins are nice to have. People know they should probably take them, but they're not sure. Whereas painkillers are must-haves. They're extremely obvious that you need them, and probably obvious that you'd be more than likely to pay for it. So when you're pitching your problem, try and make sure that you are assuring people that what you have is something that people know they need. One way to do this, or one way to get across your before and after, your problem and then solution, is a visual like this. And this is what Intercom used to use to show that, before it used to be this really messy, complicated process to actually chat with your customers. But with our thing, we make it really easy. We make it, a one-stop shop to connect you and your customer. But if you had spare time and you could come up with, an image file like this, try and find a way of editing it in, and I think that'll do a lot of the explaining of the problem for you, and maybe you can use less actual words. So the second tip related to the first is to pitch what your idea does, not necessarily what it is. So, I often say that it isn't the solution if by it you mean what the thing is comprised of. So if you look at a car, when we sell a car, we're not really selling it like this. We're not selling it in terms of tires and suspension springs and steering wheel and glass sheets. That's not the way we're selling it. We're selling it as a what it does. And the solution in this case is that, it used to take you a day to get from point A to point B on your horse. But with our thing called a car, you'll be able to get there in an hour. So you'll be way quicker. You'll be able to bring more stuff with you because our car is actually literally many horsepower. And if you choose the right one, you look really cool and people will be really impressed with you. So, what you're pitching here is the benefits, both functional and psychological, as opposed to exactly how your idea achieves that. You can go into more detail about how it actually does it maybe in the demo or in a Q&A, but for the purposes of a 4-minute pitch, there's only so much exactly how you can explain. So I think something like this offers a structure that you could follow to express what your problem and solution is. So I think it's something as simple as: we help insert target customer, achieve desired outcome benefit by, and then you insert your unique selling point here. So something like that gets across a good deal of information. You would be surprised how many people I see pitch for 4 or 5 minutes and kind of not touch on any of these areas. They'll talk about their team, they'll talk about the market, but by the end of it, they've never really talked about exactly who their customers are. They've never really talked about exactly what specific outcome they can help people achieve. And they haven't talked about how they are unique versus the competition. So if you can put something simple like this together, you're going to have explained a lot of what people will want to know. The third tip is to use plain English. So a lot of times people feel that it's the smart thing to do to use complex terms and jargon and multi-syllabic words that make sense to you, but they might not make sense to your audience. So where possible, use plain English. And I think examples of plain English can be found on homepages of websites. They're really good examples of it. So 2 I have in mind are, the first is an Irish startup called teamwork.com, and on their homepage they say that they are work management software that lets your team do more. So very simple, very plain English, but very descriptive. And their subhead is very good also, which is: Teamwork is a work and project management tool that helps team improve collaboration, visibility, accountability, and ultimately results. So I think that's a great secondary line to explain what they do. Another great example is from, yet again, another great Irish company called One Page CRM. And, the way they pitch their product is that they help you unleash your salespeople. So note, they don't tell you how yet, but they're pitching the benefit that you can expect from using them. Their subhead is that they are rocket-fueled CRM software for agencies, IT companies, and real estate companies, and more. So again, they're kind of naming specific types of customers who typically find great value in their product or service. So not a complex word on the screen, not much over 2 syllables anywhere, but does a lot of communication. A good rule is that if you are using a word that has to be Googled, then it's not very good for the purposes of simple communications. So an example of that, and you might have seen this image going around the internet this week, is the difference between vague language and vivid language, as this person puts it, or I'd probably put it clear and simple language. And you know, we've seen this phrase a lot in the last few weeks and days, which is social distancing. And we hear people saying you must practice social distancing. But the term is very vague, and I don't think people really know exactly what it means. It's a new term that people hadn't heard until a few months ago. And as they say here, it's conceptual. As a, you know, on the other hand, you could use things that are clear and more vivid. So if you want someone to understand something, make it as simple as possible. So in this case, rather than saying practice social distancing, we would say stay at home and shop once a week. Nice and simple, not much ambiguity, and not many ways that someone could misunderstand that. So we're using a known term, it's specific, and it's visual. So just bear in mind, when you're explaining what your product or service is that you're proposing, make sure it's on the more clear end of the scale as opposed to the vague end of the scale. So my fourth and final tip is around validation, a very important stage of the process and ideally done early and often. And validation, I suppose, is just a fancy word for talking to people, getting out there and making those, you know, Zoom calls, phone calls, text interchanges, something where you can communicate with the target customer that you have in mind. Because when you talk to people, you'll often learn things that you never would have come up with in your own head. So get out there and start validating early. Ideally, one of the early things you'll find out is that people need what you're making. If you ask them various questions and you find out that they don't need it, then you should probably stop making it. The second thing, I should say, you should pivot. The second thing then is ideally they'll give you indications that if you made this thing and it was fully functional, that they pay for it, because that's what makes a business a business. So in your pitch, in that 4-minute pitch, what you're going to want to get across is hopefully both of those things, that we spoke to people and X amount of them said they needed it and Y% of them said they'd pay, you know, A, B, or C dollars per month. So that's what we want to get out of talking to real people. So I like the thoughts of Joanna Wiebe on the matter. So she runs a company called copyhackers.com. And she said that when you do validation, what you get to hear is the voice of the customer. And the voice of the customer helps you do a few things. So firstly, when you hear customers talk very specifically about their problems and the features or services that they like, it can allow you to really tailor what you're making to match those things. And the second thing that she says is that when you find out the tone and voice that people use when talking about their problems, that can actually help you guide the tone and voice you give to your brand. It can help you come up with the way that you actually phrase things, the way you name, features. When you hear people's real discussion of their problem, you're going to come up with stuff that you just wouldn't have come up with by yourself. So just before I wrap things up, it's worth pointing out that you should take a look at what the judging criteria are and probably allow that to influence how you phrase and package your concept at the end of all this. So the 5 areas they say that they're judging you on are: have you adequately explained the problem and the impact? Have you been able to execute and design something approaching an MVP? Is your idea or concept original? Is it feasible? Have you proven that this can actually happen? And what is the business model behind it all? Have you proven that it can either be financially profitable or at least financially sustainable? So those are the things that they're going to be marking you on. So just make sure that you don't omit one or more of those areas, because then that really kind of hamstrings you right from the beginning. So just make sure all those 5 areas are touched upon at least somewhat. So that's pretty much it. They are the 4 tips that I think if you can take care of all those, you'll be in a really good place in that 4-minute pitch. To recap, the first tip was to lead with the problem, not the technology. The second tip was to pitch what it does, not what it is. The third tip is to use plain English. And the fourth tip is to validate, validate, validate. So that's that, guys. That's all I have for you. I'm looking forward to seeing how this online version of Startup Weekend works out for you. I'm looking forward to seeing the pitches. And if we ever needed proper innovation, it's at a time like this. So good luck and have a great time at the Startup Weekend.
Excellent. A big thank you to Ed Fidgeon Kavanagh for his time this afternoon, or rather this evening. I'm going to just take you through one or two last little points, and they kind of seem to all revolve around what's going to happen with pitching, what's going to happen with judging. So again, this evening, we have a few little recommendations for you to do. You're going to have another check-in with your champion facilitator, so big thanks to all of them. But like we said, please use this hashtag when you're posting on any social media channels. We can find that and we can help you with your messaging. So from this, where are we? Well, day 2, you've met your mentors. We think you've had a pretty good experience and learned an awful lot from them. We've attended some workshops, so well done to that. And thank you to Dave Cunningham, Aisling O'Neill, and also Ed Fidgeon Kavanagh for their time. And you're about to complete your final presentation deck. Tomorrow, we recommend that you perfect your pitch. We've got some pitch coaches coming in super early, so check in with your champion facilitators, check in with Alan, check in with Callum. They're going to help you with that. Submit that pitch for 1 p.m. and obviously change the world. We've got our judges, as we've met those good folks a few times so far. We've got Alan from the NDRC, we've got Conal from CEO at WIA, Jean Kelly from LK Shields, Dave Byrne from UPMC, and Leslie Harris, Managing Director at EIT Health. So again, a pretty good panel of people to help make these final decisions. Judging criteria, they're looking for the problem and the impact that your idea is making. What's that execution and that design? What's that MVP? What is that paper model? What is that your one-page website or those InVision or Marvel app screens? What can we see that you've put your heart and soul into over the past 54 hours? Is it original? Is it feasible? And what's the business model that's going to support this long into the future, having been born from this weekend? And how does judging work? Well, remember, it's all over at 1 p.m. We need you to submit your pitch by 1 p.m. It's a maximum of 4 minutes, and it's a video pitch. So I'm going to come to some little top tips we have about getting your video pitch ready. Again, you may know the way you want to do that. Do what is most you're most comfortable with. We have 1 or 2 tips there. And again, top 10 ideas will be streamed on YouTube live at 5 p.m. tomorrow. And once that's over, about 30, 40 minutes later, we're going to have the judges' announcement. We may have a surprise or 2 for you tomorrow as well. So tips in recording your pitch. You have many, many options, and do what you're most comfortable with. But 2 free resources to check out. One is Zoom. You can set up a free Zoom account. You can record yourself presenting on a call, chop that up and send that to us. And you can do the same with Google Meet. So there's 2 links to that. We'll post this in the Discord group. But outside of that, you've got to check in between 7 and 8. So we'd ask you to do that as early as possible with your champion facilitators this evening. Think of any last questions you have, any last problems, get those done and dusted. You know who those wonderful people are. We've got Huichi, Colin, David, Tracy, Serena, and Kelsey. And from that, what questions do you have? Do you need any last help from mentors? We have some emergency mentors in tomorrow. Again, like we always say, do you need one of David's famous food photos? They are delicious and delectable. But remember, check in with your champs as early as possible from 7 p.m. this evening. Other than that, please remember to tweet, post, and do all those great things. But please, if you're doing that, use this hashtag. And other than that, it's time to get back to Discord. So again, we appreciate everyone's help, everyone's time, and we hope you have a great rest of the day, long into the evening of getting those pitches ready to go. So ladies and gentlemen, I am being played out here, and any help you need, just let us know.